Hola from Barcelona. Welcome back to the Self Love Archives podcast. I am your host, Julia Salvia, and as you are listening to this, I am in Barcelona, Spain, finally getting a chance to relax and explore the world. But I'm super excited for today's podcast episode because I am chatting with Jade Lagassé, and she is such a sweetheart inside and out. I actually found her on social media. She works with aerie and honestly is just such a sweet soul. So I can't wait to chat about her career as an influencer and also how it is working with aerie, and also really getting into the depths of what her self-love journey is and what got her to where she is today. So enjoy, take a listen, and I'll see you guys soon. I'm super excited to introduce you guys to Jade. I found you actually on social media, and everything that you share on social media is so incredibly aligning in regards to self-love and just your lifestyle, and you make it look so aesthetic. And of course, I'm so excited to connect. So tell everybody who you are and where they can find you.
Yeah, I'm Jade. I have been doing social media not for very long, actually, only for about 2-ish years more full time, I think. I basically started out on TikTok. I just started doing, I feel like everyone did, like around the pandemic. They're just doing little videos, and then I was like, you know what? Actually, I feel like I have more that I want to share, and I actually went to university for therapeutic recreation, which a lot of people don't know what that is, but basically it's a form of therapy, and you work with clients of all ranges. So like someone could have like a disability, it could be people who are older, but basically you help them create like activities to like better their mental health, to put it simply. But basically I've always been about community and creating a community, and I was like, you know what, let me just try this. And I also just wanted to find people that I could connect to, because I always grew up not being able to connect really with anyone when it came to mid-size fashion, and that's what I kind of started out with on social media. So I was like, let me just give this a go, and I started doing it, and then it's not been a huge, big, crazy blow up in my community, but I mean, I would say it's been a progressive one, and I feel like that feels even more intimate at the time. So yeah, I kind of started on TikTok, and then I've just recently, as of the past few months, started to take Instagram a little bit more seriously. So I'm on both those platforms right now, and just kind of feeling it out and taking it day by day. But I love what I do, and I work with so many amazing people. I've met so many amazing other creators like yourself.
Thanks.
So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now.
I love that. That's definitely where I found you and where I connected with you on, is just mid-size content creation and really focusing on loving this version of ourselves that I don't think was ever, or at least in the past couple of years, was ever portrayed in regards to social media. Like, we've seen, of course, that straight sizes, it's always been a thing, like sharing what I eat in the day or an outfit video, and we're not seeing plus represented whatsoever.
Yeah.
But now I think in 2023, 2024, we started, or even prior to then, we really saw a lot more plus size women sharing content, and it kind of brings you into this place, well, what do I call me? Because I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't fit in, or we don't fit into like straight sizes most times, or plus size. It's like, it depends on the brand. It depends. Yes. It's like, it depends on so many different things: the brand, what country you're buying it from, who's the maker of it. And it's like, sometimes you fit in straight sizes, sometimes you fit in plus sizes, sometimes you don't fit in either. And you're just like, where do I fit in this picture of like what is my body considered, essentially? Like, I don't like giving like tags to,
like labels.
yeah, labels, exactly, like of what it is, but sometimes we need that to know what community we fit in with.
Yeah.
And I think that's how I connected with you, because we both fit into that community of midsize.
I know, and it's so nice to like have that relatability with someone else.
Yes.
And like you said with the labels, like it's like you don't always want to put something on that, but I mean it's like helpful to know what community you're part of, but also where do I shop? Like what can I get to like fit my figure? And I feel like that's always been such a struggle, especially with jeans. I don't know about you, but jeans are like not my best friend. As of recently though, like Abercrombie, I feel like their curve love style is like my favorite right now, but it's definitely tricky to kind of see like where do I belong? Because I feel like for so long like we did grow up in a society where everything was like very much tailored to a straight figure, and I feel like curves and hips and butts and boobs, like no one like that wasn't like really created for us, and I feel like there weren't really inclusive like clothing that really fit our body figure at the time. Even like 10 years ago, I would say we were still struggling with that.
Oh yeah. And
So
I
it's
think
so nice to see.
we still do.
Oh, we still totally do, and I think there's so much work to do in the fashion industry and with society and people's perspectives, but it's nice to see that we're like starting to get on the right path. Like I finally feel like no one's gonna criticize me for my body the way they used to when I was like a lot younger.
For sure. Because we're in a different era of like what I think, and not even like a different era. I think we're just acceptive of just who we are. And because because there are so many more people actually sharing their true, honest body and not trying to be this norm that society is just creating. I think that it's allowing us to actually connect with each other and to just love the bodies that we have. Like I want to show my body off more now than I did when I was like 12.
Oh my gosh, I know. I was like, I always used to like wear long sleeves and like really baggy clothes, and like I do still kind of wear baggy-ish clothes because I just find it more comfortable. But like I didn't feel comfortable to wear form-fitted outfits. I was just like, oh, someone's gonna see my back rolls, like someone's gonna see my muscular legs, and I was so in my head because of like all the criticism that I would get from like people I would see day to day, but also just like within society, it just didn't feel like it was accepted. And I feel like now, especially like I feel like I'm at a point where I can look at myself and like, and I don't think as much about it as I used to. I'm not as in my head over it, I feel. So it's kind of refreshing in a sense.
And it's probably refreshing too to like wear the baggy clothes because you want to, not because you feel like you have to or that you have to hide something.
I couldn't agree more with that.
Yeah, and I will say, going back to what you said about pants, I don't know what it is about pants. So I have super big legs, but I don't really have the widest hips. So the problem I always had with pants is that it would fit my legs, but then be too small.
Or smaller on the waist.
Yeah, it was like one or the other. It was like if it was too big on the legs, it was too small on the waist, or if it was like too small on the legs, it was too big on the waist. Like either or, it was just like there was nothing in between. So sometimes the curve works out for me, but sometimes it doesn't. And then it's like straight sometimes works out and then sometimes it doesn't. So it's crazy to me thinking about how different every single brand's sizing is.
Oh my gosh,
when it comes to women's sizing.
Yeah, it's crazy. I feel like I've like spent so much time investing money, but also like research and like trying different things. And I have to say, you feel so defeated when you're trying to find like the right fit. Like you're like, okay, it's just not working for me. I'm just gonna have to wear sweatpants, leggings, like stretchy things. And it's like, but I don't want to. Like the baggy jean trend, I love the look of baggy jeans. I want to be able to do that where it's not like tight around my inner thighs and my butt, and then it's not like gapping all over my waist. Like, you know, it's like, what do I find? And I feel like I've kind of narrowed down my brands a little bit now, but I still think it's not always perfect. And like, and sometimes I go and get it tailored.
Yeah.
So it's like, where is the in between still? I still think there's so much work to be done, but it's nice that they're starting to create more options for us out there.
Agreed. I definitely think that there is a start happening. There's an extension happening. Totally. I think it's that but that in between like saying, good job, but we need more.
Yeah,
But you need
exactly.
to keep
We're
going.
not done yet. There's
Correct.
still so
Yeah.
much work to be done, but I
Yeah.
think we're on the right start.
So you work with Aerie,
Yes.
who is one of my favorite brands. I have a love-hate relationship with Aerie because I know that they have some work to do in regards to their
Yes.
sizing, but they are in that starting phase of being more progressive in regards to extending their sizing. And I also notice, as just like an Aerie shopper, that their sizing does run, I would say, a little bit bigger
Yes, it does.
than the actual, I guess, what the normal size is, which who knows what that is at this
I
point.
know. It's like, what is the normal size?
Yeah. So how did that come to fruition, and why did you start working with Aerie? Because of course, like whether you reached out to them or they reached out to you, or it came together from your team or anything like that. At the end of the day, like it's a decision on their end, but it's also a decision on your end.
Totally. Yeah. So honestly, I was surprised. So I actually got reached out to by their marketing team. Um, and I was surprised. And they messaged me on Instagram too, of all things, which
Mhm.
was crazy. And I wasn't sure if it was like legitimate or not, to be
Yeah.
honest. And then I went through the process and I'm like, oh, this is actually real. This is real. And it's, to me, like I think we were talking about like spirituality and like astrology earlier,
Yeah.
and like if manifesting came to life for me in one moment this far, it was to work with Aerie. Like I would say since I was so like very young, like high school, public school, I really started to resonate with them because it was truthfully the only brand that like I actually didn't feel like things were pinching into my sides as much. I didn't
Mhm.
feel like, I felt like I could put on a size medium or a size large and I could actually feel like myself, and I didn't feel like it was suffocating me. And it was
Yeah.
comfortable too, of all things. It was comfortable, and I've always felt that their fabrics were very, they were made to like feel lived in, and like it's your second skin, especially with bras. Like bras are like a whole other thing too. Like
Mhm.
can be so uncomfortable. So anyways, I started on TikTok, and I didn't really have much of a platform at that time, to be honest, but I was consistent. I was putting hauls of them just because I truthfully loved the brand, and I think
Mhm.
those are the best partnerships that you'll ever work with, is like when like you truthfully believe in a brand and like you really love their pieces. And I feel like when people say just naturally post about it, like people will come
Yeah.
to you. um so yeah, that's kind of how it worked. And then it was kind of a bit different the first year. I've been working with them for about 2 years now, and honestly, I just really align with their morals and values as a brand. I think like not only are they continuing to try to be size inclusive, but I think, and you can tell that they're actually putting the works into doing that.
Mhm.
Versus like some other brands, I feel like sometimes they just easily pop up like well, they'll go like 3x and 6x, but it's like, are you just putting that in, is the size actually like truthful to what you're promoting? Like is it,
Yeah.
and are you just doing that to like make yourself look good, and you're not actually putting in the work to do the research and to like make the change?
Yeah.
Whereas them, I feel like they're always working on that. And then also the big aspect of it was just how inclusive they are with everyone, not just with size, but with people with disabilities. And I think like that speaks really deeply to me because, like I
Mhm.
said, I studied therapeutic recreation. So like we learned about a lot about people with disabilities, and like that was like those would be our big clientele. And like even though I didn't like continue that after university, it's like something that's very close to my heart, to like, so to see a brand that's so mindful and so inclusive and has such a welcoming community, I think was a big thing. And I've been working them for 2 years for a reason, and that's
Yeah.
kind of because of that. So, and I love it. I have so much fun like styling all the pieces and working with the team, and I'm so grateful that they've believed in me to continue with me for the past 2 years and to keep doing it, even though like I'm not a big creator, but I feel like it's just refreshing to be like, you don't have to be to like
Yeah.
get those opportunities and to be seen and to be valued by those kind of brands, especially one that I've supported for so long. So
Yeah,
that's kind
for
of where I'm
sure.
at right now. And I just love working with them. Everyone's so amazing and so sweet. So that's definitely something that I've been enjoying.
when you do shoots with them, what is something that really stands out from the way that they go about the process of doing the shoot? Because I've been in a couple shoots before, and sometimes it can be really like uncomfortable in them. Like it can just be really uncomfortable in regards to the way that they want you to pose, speak,
Yeah.
be. So is there anything that stands out in like a positive light during those shoots?
So I've like my work with aerie so far has been mostly in my control of like creating the content myself and taking the photos myself.
Yeah.
Obviously they go through an approval stage and like have to review the content, but truly like anytime we're given a brief or an outline to create the content that we do, it is to be your authentic self, to style the way you would style it. It's all about you and what makes you comfortable, and I think that's like something that's made it so easy for me, to be honest. And I feel like that's what's made other people connect to it too, is because I'm just being me, and I feel like that's so nice. But I will say I have done like a lot of shoots for other brands, like for swimwear brands, for athletic brands and stuff like that. And I was nervous the first time I ever did it, but I have to say so far I've been really, really, really lucky to be working with brands that are very, well, first all run by females, which is like so fun and like and everything. And so like I feel like they, as like a woman, like you can understand like how being exposed like that sometimes can be like a little bit uncomfortable. So I feel like automatically I've had all the scenarios and environments be like very calm and relaxed and like let's just take our time, like let's warm up, and like if you're feeling a bit uneasy we can take a step back. So yeah, I have to say so far I've had a really good experience with all of that, and it's just been really fun and creative, and I love creativity and trying things that are new. So and I feel like in a situation though that like some things wouldn't go as well, which luckily I have not had to experience yet. At least for myself, I feel comfortable enough to like speak up and say, hey, like I'm not really comfortable like this, can we put a pause, or like I don't want to continue.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's all about the mindset and being like prepared in those situations, because like really anything can happen, especially when you don't really know the people very well. And maybe you're just having a bad day too, and you're just not feeling it, and I feel like that's okay, and I feel like it's good for people to understand that that's if you're going to be in a swimsuit or if you're going to be in lingerie, then it's okay to like say no. Like I'm not feeling it anymore, even if you said yes in the beginning. So all situational, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. No, that's so good to hear, especially from from someone on the outside looking in and kind of making these assumptions or expectations of like what that would be like, because I don't know, I think back to like America's Next Top Model, like how
Oh my God.
traumatic.
I
How
would be
traumatic.
traumatized. I would be traumatized. That is just like a whole other level. Like talk about
Yeah.
being like picked apart to the T.
Yeah.
Like that's just so unhealthy. And I feel
100%.
like it doesn't matter what your body figure is. Like you don't, that's so like almost inhumane to an extent.
Yes.
It's blew my mind. I was like, what?
And it's like it didn't really occur to me because I watched it as a
Yes.
kid. I
Oh yeah.
watched it as a kid and like did not even kid or teen, I don't know how old it was, but it did not
Younger.
occur to me that anything in that show was wrong
Wrong. I know.
because of just the way that society, the way that I was raised, like the way that things just were. And
Yeah.
it was like you're watching it not even processing like how cruel or traumatic or mean that this
No.
show is, and you're thinking that this is all just okay
Yeah.
because of the, I guess, pedestal that you're just automatically assuming it's on,
Yeah.
which is
Exactly.
crazy. So it's so good to
Yeah.
hear, like, now fast forward way past America's Next Top Model days, that
Yeah.
we're that brands are looking at people for people,
Yeah.
not
I
as
know.
products,
Yeah.
not as just a picture, not as something to help sell something. It's
Yeah.
it's good to hear that it's a lot more down to earth, honestly.
Yeah, I know. And it's like, it's refreshing because my younger sister actually, she modeled for a little bit of time. And I would say it was like pretty good for the most part, but there were definitely moments where you could just sense that the environment just wasn't great.
Yeah.
And like, I don't want to speak on it too much and say the wrong things, but you could just like get a sense that like it felt more specific to like how society deems what the actual body figure should be. Like, it wasn't a very like wide range of accepting qualities within that modeling firm business. So it was interesting to see that side of it, because so when I was going into it, I'm like, oh my gosh, am I going to deal with that? Am I going to deal with all that anxiety and all that stress and like get in my head and not feel like I'm good enough and all this stuff? But truthfully, like, so far my experience, it's just been feeling like me, and that's just, they want me for me, and it's so nice and refreshing because I haven't always felt like that my whole life. So it was, yeah, it's been great so far.
Yeah, that's so good to hear. And when you say that you haven't felt like that your whole life, where do you think you started, and how did you get to where you are today with feeling good in who you are, who Jade is?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would say like it's been a lifelong journey, to be honest. And I feel like a lot of people can relate to this. I don't know, ever since I was younger, I actually grew up in the Caribbean for a good chunk of my life, and so it kind of started there. Like, the kids were just always picking on me, like I was physically getting tossed around. Like, it was just like very aggressive, and it was all because of my body, and I don't understand it. And then when we came back to Canada, it was the same thing. And I know people can say, you know, you have to look at the bullies' point of view and like what they were going through. Like, you know, maybe they have a really rough upbringing and like all that stuff. And I do look at it and I do have sympathy for it, and I try to have that understanding with it. But my whole life, I would say I've always been picked on for my body. Even in high school, I had people calling me a tank, like just like all these like very rude things. And I could go into like such in-depth details, but that would take forever.
Yeah.
But I would say definitely I went through a lot of bullying about my body from a very young age, that an age a person should never go through, like probably since the age of 5 and all the way into my teen years, like all the way until I left high school, probably, to be honest with you. And it's funny because I feel like a lot of people would say like, oh, but you were so sweet and so kind and like shy. But I was like, maybe that's why they wanted to, like, you know. So
like,
it kind of broke.
Forget.
Yeah, I know. And I was just like, and then so I kind of started getting a tough shell on myself. And I was like, you know what, like, I'm not going to be that shy person anymore. I'm not going to let people take advantage of me anymore.
Yeah.
So I started to grow my confidence from there, is starting to speak up and starting to be like, oh, actually, like, this isn't right, and like I should speak up on this, and like I'm okay the way I am and nothing is wrong with that. I also grew up dancing a lot. Like, I would spend 6 days a week dancing. Like, I did 14 dance classes, and I loved my studio, and I had such an amazing experience. But even then, like, you're exposed to, again, the standard of like what a dancer's body should be like. And I look back at photos and I was like, honestly, like, how could anyone even criticize a 12-year-old, a 10-year-old in that phase of their life? Yeah. And like it, but you still felt compared to sometimes in certain situations. And I wanted to continue in dance like after high school, but I didn't feel the encouragement that I could do it because of my body. So it just like, there's always that factor around my life that like I was too curvy, I was too heavy, I was too muscular, I was all these things that like didn't check off the right things in other people's eyes. And I feel like that really like hit me hard. And I decided to look at it one day and I was like, I can either, you know, feed into this, or I can cut it off and I can start speaking up and I can start giving myself a fresh perspective on myself. Because it was so exhausting, and I feel like, again, a lot of people can relate to this. Waking up every day, looking in the mirror, looking at your body, pinching yourself, wishing that this part would just shrink off, like, you know, holding yourself back from eating things that you enjoy. All these things, and it's so exhausting. It's so exhausting. It's so damaging to your mental health and to your physical health. And I was like, something needs to switch. Something needs to change. And to be honest, when I started to go into university, it was kind of a rough patch for me even then. But when I came out of it and I started making videos, I was like, wait, maybe this is not just like something I like doing for fun and to be goofy, but maybe this is also my kind of outlet to find a community that I can connect to and that relates to me, but also that I feel like I can be a part of, because I never really felt that way. And I feel like it was such a struggle to not feel like you fit in. Like, I didn't want to wear swimsuits when I was younger. I didn't want to show off my arms. Like, I was so insecure all the time. I was always comparing myself to other people. And so I feel like it's just, honestly, I don't even want to say training yourself, but it's just about surrounding yourself with the right people, the right things, the right mentalities, what you read, what you view on social media. I'm very wary about, like, what I follow, who I follow sometimes, and like what people are really like promoting and stuff. And but again, I feel like I just want to be around genuine, authentic people.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's not down to like what you look like or what your ethnicity is or if you have a disability. I think just surrounding yourself on the internet with people who like are just genuinely like wholehearted, like good people who are also creative and fun, and like I love fashion, so if they love fashion, just like fun seeing everyone's different spins and interpretations on the same things you're interested in. And then just the people in your life, like having the right friends, the right family, and communicating to family and friends about how things make you feel, because we don't always say the right thing. And I think that's important to always have that mindset that like we're human and we're not perfect and we're not always going to say the right things. So I think communication is a huge thing. But I would definitely say the reason I've gotten to the place of loving my body for what it is and who it is it's got me through so much in life, and it does so many amazing things, especially as a woman. Like, the fact that you can create life is like a crazy thing, even though like I'm kind of far from that, but like I have
Don't worry, me too. Far from it.
Yeah, let me just clarify.
Yeah.
But I just have so much appreciation for what like especially the female body can do.
Yeah.
And I think we go through seasons, and that's something I've really learned, is that we do go through seasons, and like things can fluctuate and things can change, and there's no point in looking at a past self or a future self and being hard on yourself about it, because we all go through different things, whether it's emotionally, physically. So it's just like really having the right perspective on things. And I'm not always perfect about it, but I definitely feel that I have a relationship with myself that I didn't when I was younger, and I'm so grateful for that. So
yeah. I completely
long
agree.
story.
No, I agree with absolutely everything you're saying, because I think we all want to be a part of a community, right?
Yes.
We're not meant to be alone in this life. We never were. We never are. We're not. And we are not meant to be alone, and we're not actually alone. I think the issue is where we are today in this world is that we don't feel comfortable enough to share whatever we're going through, whether that's something great, something not so great, something that hurts us, something that, pushes us forward. Sometimes we don't want to share it because of the way that the world makes us isolate ourselves in this way. So we want to be a part of a community. We want like-minded people within that community. We want kind, good people. We want people to value the same things as us that are in that community. So I think the content that we consume, the words from others within that community that we consume, absolutely everything that we surround ourselves has an adverse or an amazing, whether that's an adverse, like good way, like it affects us in a good or a bad way, and either pushes us forward or pulls us back or keeps us in the same place that we are. So it's so incredibly important to align ourselves with whatever community or communities that we want to be a part of. So I think that's so important, especially in whatever part of our healing journey or journey that we're in this moment, because it can make a world of a difference. But I think what is the worst thing you can do is isolate yourself from absolutely everything. Like isolating yourself from being a part of a community, or isolating yourself and thinking that, I love saying this because it shocks people and it's kind of mean, but it's really not. We are not special.
No.
We're not special. Someone else
Really,
has, yeah, like
I couldn't agree
someone,
with that more. We're all
someone
human
else,
beings. We're
yes.
all human beings. We have the same parts. We're the same people. Like, what you do and who you are really doesn't make a difference. We're
Mhm.
all truly the same. We're all
Yeah.
human. So, like, we really aren't that special.
Yeah. We all have a different story and all have different experiences, but the
True.
similarity is there is someone else that has, witnessed some of the same things you have, that has the same favorite color as you, that
Yeah,
has felt this way about this, who has a similar journey or path to you. So, of course, our unique journeys and paths are unique to us. They are different, they are special, but there is someone else out there that has felt the same or experienced something the same. And when you decide to be open and honest about who you are and that path and journey that you're on, you will find other people that are a
absolutely.
part of your community. But it's just a matter of sharing it and
Yeah,
speaking about it.
exactly. And I think, like, to add on to that is, I mean, we both do social media. So
Yeah.
I feel like there's such a big, you know, brain fog almost starting into it. It's just like, do I do this or do I not? People are going to think I'm cringy. People are going to like judge me
Mm.
XYZ. But it's like, you really, and it's so cliche now, I feel, but like, you really do have to embrace the cringe and you just have to go for
Oh,
it. And it's
it's
like,
so
it's really
cringy when
not
you
even that
start.
cringy.
It's so cringy when you like look back on like the
Oh my
first couple of
gosh.
videos that you've
I've like
done.
hidden so many of my videos. I'm just like, wait. We were just testing the wheels here.
Yeah.
Like
But that's what you have to do to like warm up
exactly.
to it. I felt that
Exactly.
way about my podcast. Like when I first started the Self Love Archives podcast, I was like, this is so cringy. I feel like I'm reading off a script. I don't want to do this. And I'm just like, no, I know that this is part of the process.
Yes.
And, a couple episodes from now, a couple social media posts from now, I'm going to feel so much more comfortable in sharing everything that I want to
Ab-
share. I'm gonna find my people, and maybe it's not 100 or 100,000 or a million people, but it's going to be one or two, and those are the people that are going to make the difference in you
Absolutely.
continuing your journey, in whatever way it is. And I also want to mention too, it doesn't have to just be social media and doing something that honestly is like out there for the whole public to see. It could just be speaking up to the community around you, your
Yes.
friends, your family, a new friend, like someone that you have met, talking, I don't know, talking to like the FedEx guy, like I
I
don't
know.
know.
I'm
Like
best friends with my UPS delivery guy. He
I
loves me now.
don't I think that they tolerate me because I'm kind and I put out some snacks during the holidays.
Oh, that's so good. I would love
But
that if I was a delivery person. And be like, this is my favorite.
yes, I put out tons of stuff for them during the holidays. But now I think, unfortunately, there's so many boxes for my event Bloom getting delivered to my house.
Yeah.
So I've been warning all of them. I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like, you're going to be delivering a lot of stuff recently. And they're just like, okay. Like,
They're like,
I'm not.
nothing new.
Yes. Like I'm that person that has a full-blown conversation about something I'm purchasing while I'm in like a grocery store, like Target line or something like that. And like they ask a question about something I'm purchasing. I'm like, yeah, I love this. And then I go into a whole story. But to my
That's so
point,
me too. I'm like, I go off the path so easily. And I
yes.
like try and catch myself. I'm like, okay, wait, what was the point of this?
Oh, my credit card, you need me to pay.
Sorry,
Okay.
I didn't mean to trauma dump on you.
Yeah. I saw this meme about or it was like a TikTok or something about how women meeting for the first time, and it goes into like, yeah, what's your favorite color, what's your favorite food, what do you like around here? Yeah, so when I was 5, this happened and this trauma happened, and like I'm really just trying to heal.
Just an open book.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like one thing that you resonate. You're like, oh, yeah, this happened to me.
But it's to that point, like you have to be open to sharing your story or at least parts of
Absolutely.
it to find that community. And And there are going to be people like my FedEx guy that are going to look at me like I'm crazy, or the lady from the grocery store that's like, I don't relate, girl. Just
Yeah.
pay and leave.
Yeah.
And that's okay, and it's going to happen, but there are people out there that do resonate with you.
Yeah, and there's so many people out there who do resonate with you. The world is so large and
So big.
like, truly, I think for anyone who's even considering going into social media, I'd say just do it. And you really just have to like start, and you have to be patient, and you have to be kind to yourself. I feel like it's so easy to compare to other people, even just as a creator, because like especially now I find it's so saturated, so it feels like there's so much going on, and especially when you're really passionate about getting across a certain point, you just have to be patient, and you have to be consistent, and you just have to start, and you have to embrace the cringe. Even though it is going to be cringy. You're so right, it's going to be cringy at the beginning because it's all new to you, but like it's with literally anything, you're not going to get good at it unless you practice it.
Yeah.
It is the phrase practice makes perfect, but not even perfect, but just like more normal, you know, because it's not very like, it's very different. Maybe at least like when I was in high school, it wasn't like a thing to like talk to the camera. Like YouTube was just kind of becoming like a big thing. Like Facebook was, you know, Instagram had just sort of started to come out, and now it's like talking to a camera is just, I guess, more the norm now, but it hasn't always been. So it's just like getting comfortable with that and like using the tools more and understanding them. So it might feel cringy at the beginning, but you just have to do it.
What do you think is the most pivotal part of your self-love journey?
Like mind myself?
Yeah, like, was there anything that stood out, whether it was something very positive or something that really just pushed you either over the edge or just to almost like say like, screw you, I'm just gonna love myself now because your opinion does not matter?
Yeah, I think like, I mean, before I started getting into social media, I had gone through a really rough year in my second year university. I had lost a lot of people. I'd gotten a concussion. I couldn't really like do a lot or like move my body. And so I gained a lot of weight. That was like the heaviest I had ever been. It was the unhealthiest I'd ever been, like mentally. And I was so blind to it. And it was kind of like a health scare for my mental health. Like I've always like really, I feel like I'm pretty in tune with myself, to be honest, and that was the one moment that I wasn't in tune with myself, and so it kind of scared me, and I didn't feel like I had control over anything, and because there's just so much going on, and it was just so heavy, and so I feel like that kind of gave me like a scare in terms of like actually taking care of myself, but also realizing that like how I said earlier is that we go through seasons, and I feel like, you know, like that was a really rough time in my life, but it's okay that I went through that. It's okay that I gained weight, and it's like it didn't like control my life into a sense of like I couldn't do certain things. Like I could still do whatever I wanted to do. I was still equal to whoever I was surrounded by in a grocery store, at school, in class, you know, with my peers, with my family. Like I was just going through a season of my life, and I feel like I kind of just like, that's when I started to get that mindset where I was like, okay, we're not always going to have like the perfect things. I look at myself in high school, despite like that I didn't always have the happiest moments. I felt pretty happy, and I felt like I wasn't trying to be, I just was like a very like bubbly person, like, and mostly with my friends and family outside of school. And I always would look back at it and I'd be like, why can't I be like that anymore? Like, why aren't I like that right now? And I was just like, that was just like a season of my life. And I went through a season of my life where I was really depressed and really in a dark place, and I didn't feel really good about my body, but that's okay. And I feel like just that mindset switch and like almost like self-awareness too is like, we can look however, we can be whoever, we can go through anything, and we're still us. And the right people in our lives are going to love and accept us for who we are, no matter what we're going through. And my body is a vessel to help me go through all of that. All the good, all the bad, all the ugly. And I feel like I just grew such an appreciation for like what I was able to manage for myself because of the body that I have. And I was like, oh, I love you. And so then started doing social media because I used to be so hard on myself about everything. And I started creating videos, and honestly, that became my biggest outlet. I felt like I could express myself exactly with how I felt, and I felt like other people were relating to me at a certain point, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm not alone. Like, people are understanding this too, and other people feel this way too. So it was kind of refreshing. So it was kind of those two things. It was going through that really dark phase and understanding the seasons of our lives, and like that we're always going to change, and like we're not always going to be the same, and that's okay. And our bodies can carry us through so much, and we have to like look at that and like learn to like love and appreciate it. And then it was also starting social media and that outlet of like mid-size fashion, and like being like, oh, other people relate to this and I'm not alone. So it was, I would say those were the two like biggest pivots of my self-love journey, and like really like loving myself for who I am and like getting to where I am today were those two big moments.
I think that's so important too, because we do go through different times in our life, different chapters, different things happen. Like, the one thing that's always going to be true is that there's always going to be change. We are always going to be changing. The world around us is always going to be changing, and the people around us are always going to be changing. There's always going to be change. That is a definite, that is 1000% something that's going to happen. And we have to make the choice to love ourselves and our bodies and everything, you know, everything on the outside, everything on the inside, everything in between, like throughout that journey. I think even for me, same thing. Like, I always look back at who I was before different times in my life, and I'm like, why can't I be like her? Why can't I be like her? And I'm like, right now, over the past couple of years, I've gained quite a bit of weight, and I have to remind myself, I'm like, this is a chapter right now.
Yes, exactly.
And this is what my body needs right now. I almost look at it as like, right now, my body needs me to focus on other aspects, other pieces. I almost look at it as like it's keeping me safe.
Yes.
And that's why, and that's really what, if we go into it like a spiritual way, if we go into it like a scientific way, like our bodies at the end of the day just want to keep us safe. So
yes, that's so true. They're our safe space. And I feel like that's actually the perfect way to put it. Yeah. And I feel like that's exactly how I feel with my body now. And I don't like punish it, and I don't look at it in every way. I'm like, this is my safe place. It's like, I'm doing this for a reason. This is happening for a reason. Like, and some people don't look at things like that, but I feel like it's a good mindset to have.
Yeah. 100%. And I think that that's what was happening with me. Like, my body was just trying to keep me safe for the past couple of years, because there were so many outside factors going on, and I had to focus just like keeping my body, like I think my body just had gained a lot of weight for so many different reasons, but I think mainly the focus wasn't on the physical body that I had, like not the vessel. It was more about like what was going inside the vessel that needed time to heal. So in order to like make room for it, my body was like, let me protect you with all of this. And like, of course we don't look at things like that. And I think we don't look at things like that because that's not what quote unquote society sees as beautiful. So we're not looking at it in this positive light. I do think at the end of the day, it's okay to want to lose weight, to change something. It is totally okay, and it's totally within our control to be able to do that, or to be a better version of ourselves. But I also think at the same time, if you want to make that change, or you want to be a better version of yourself, you also have to recognize and be self-aware of all of the different parts of yourself and love who you are now. Because if you want to lose weight because you think you're gonna love yourself then, but you're not gonna love yourself now at the higher weight, it's not gonna happen.
No, and it's all like your thoughts, the way like you think, and it's the way you look at things and your perspective. It's all about
perspective,
your mental health and perspective. Like, you can lose the weight, but like if you haven't done the inner work, you're not going to actually appreciate it in the way you think. You're probably still gonna think like, oh, I need to do more and more and more. And I actually used to fall into that a lot. And it's just like, oh, if I lose like 20 pounds, like people are gonna like compliment me more. They're going to say nice things to me more. Like, I'm actually going to, like, look beautiful. And then I did lose a bit of weight. And then I was like, wait, but I still don't like myself.
Yeah.
And people aren't saying anything to me. Or if they are, it's like, oh, you look amazing. Like, you've lost, like, so much weight. Like, you look so good. And then I feel like that's okay to say sometimes, but also in a way, like, it can, like, with a certain person, it can make them think, it can feed into it, and it depends, like, what they're going through. So I feel like you do have to be, like, a little bit careful with that sometimes. So I feel like that's always been an interesting part to it as well. But yeah, you definitely have to do the inner work to even be able to do the physical work and then have those results, because it's not, you have to do 2 and 2. It's not 1 and 1.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
They're not separate.
No, it's all, like, interrelated. Always will be.
Yeah. I think if anybody has ever lost weight before or gained weight, whatever their goals were, if they've ever met a goal before that they were trying, whether it has to do with their physical body or something else, and they thought that by the time or if they met that goal, they would love themselves more, they probably had a shocking realization that that's not actually what happens when you've met that goal of yours, whatever it may be, if you don't actually love yourself prior to getting to that place.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like how people say, like, in a relationship, it's like, you know, like, they're like, I want someone to make me feel better and all this stuff, but it's like, you have to love yourself first before you can, like, love another person.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. It's like, hurt people can't help hurt people, you know? So, like, if you're really going through something, it's like, you know, and your friend is also going through a really dark time, it's like, you guys can't really help each other because you haven't really, like, found the way to help yourself and to heal yourself and all of that. So I feel like it's always a two-way street.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like that's how you kind of have to look at it sometimes.
Agreed, 100%. I think, I always say, because I actually have a tattoo, it's white, so you really can't see it, but it's on my ring finger, and it's a heart, and the meaning behind it is love yourself first. But I believe that, but I also do believe, thank you, I also do believe that we can love other people while we put ourselves first or love ourselves first.
Absolutely.
I think that the paradox or the two things can be true at once, essentially. It's just having the self-awareness of who you are so that any flaws, any insecurities, anything that you're feeling doesn't get put onto that other person that you're also loving.
Absolutely. It's totally about self-awareness. I even find, like, in my own relationship, we're a team and we're a partnership and we're best friends and we love each other, but we put ourselves first in a lot of situations. We have a lot of independence, and I feel like I've been with him since I was 15. So it's almost been about 10 years now.
Oh, cute.
Yeah, high school sweethearts. But I found that, you know, like, we always needed that independence, and I feel like the only reason we really got it was because of who we are, but also we went through some long distance. But it's like, I have my own life and I do my own things, and he has that for himself too. And I feel like with that, like, we're able to love each other even more, to be honest. And, like, we're aware of, like, what we need for ourselves and what that person in your partnership needs for themselves too, and having that understanding, I think, creates such a healthy relationship, healthy boundaries, and you're able to do what you love and be who you are without having to sacrifice anything, but also not putting anything on the other person or creating, like, some sort of resentment just because you weren't understanding the things you needed or communicating those things to the other person. So I feel like, and that goes with your relationship with yourself too, and with your friends and with your family. So I feel like that's totally, self-awareness is a huge, huge factor.
For sure. I mean, we're in relationships, any type of relationships, like, you're a team, but you're also two individuals. It takes two individuals to make a team. So it's so important. And you're not sharing the same glass. You both have separate glasses, and the overflow is what goes to each other, not the glass filled, you know? I also don't like the saying where people are like, it's 50-50 in a relationship. I'm like, no, it's 100 and 100. It's
Yeah,
sometimes I'm going to be at 80 and you're going to be at 30 and vice
totally.
versa, but I'm giving 100% into this relationship, whether it's a romantic relationship, a friendship, like any one-on-one relationship that I have with anyone. It's my glass is full because of what I'm doing to fill it, and then the overflow is what goes to you. And I'm
Absolutely.
charging my battery up to 100%, and then anything past that goes to you. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, we're still individuals. We're just deciding to give the overflow to each other, to
Yeah.
come together as a team. I think about, I don't even think this exists yet, where like maybe it does, but when you put someone else's phone next to yours and it gives you a little bit of the charge.
Oh no, but they have that with our airdrops. Like if you put like your phone next to each other, it does this like little like like
Yeah.
sound. That's probably like exactly what you have in your mind.
Yeah,
Which
like
is smart though. They should do that for phones.
they should. I feel like they might have like said something about it being a possibility, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Either way, it's
Yeah, it's the metaphor.
but that's the idea, is that, we're
Yeah,
filling ourselves up and then giving whatever is overflowing to the other
totally.
person. But it's so important to remember that we're individuals first and then we're a team.
Absolutely. I think that's huge. Always.
Agreed. Agreed. So I have a little game, if you will.
Sure.
Um,
Okay.
I am actually launching a card deck,
Oh,
and it's called the Love Yourself More deck.
oh
And
my gosh.
essentially, they are a bunch of questions that ask you to go deeper, or deepest with yourself.
Okay.
So they're kind of like journaling questions. There's 100 questions, and I haven't actually gone through the process of making the deck as of yet, but it's in the works. But I
Oh
have the
my gosh.
questions.
Oh my gosh, that's so exciting. The list.
I have the list. I have the questions.
I love that.
Um,
Yeah.
Thank you. So, to close everything out before I ask you, well, I'm gonna ask you a question.
Okay.
But you tell me what number between 1 and 100
Okay.
you want me to ask.
Let's say 20.
20. Okay.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. Obviously, if I had this card deck, we would just pick one.
Imagine I said 80.
It's okay. I'll count backwards from the last
Oh
question.
my gosh, true. What a party.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, this is a good question. Okay. The idea of the card deck too is that you kind of pick a card. I like the idea of picking a card based on what you're intuitively being pulled towards.
Okay.
So it's kind of like, hey, what are you feeling today? Are you feeling
Yeah.
like you want to just go a little deep with yourself, maybe somewhere in the middle? Or are
Yeah.
you feeling like you really need a deep question?
Yeah. Like a bit of therapy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So the question is, what would you do if you had the confidence?
Oh my gosh.
Conquer the world.
I feel like I would do so many things. There's so many things I could say. I think if I had the confidence, I would honestly push myself more. I love doing what I do, and sometimes I feel like I don't consider the worth that I have to put myself out there more, whether it's working with brands or in my separate career, and just like believing in myself a little bit more. I feel like I would just reach out even furthest to what I already do, but it's like, how do I also do that? It's still like figuring that out. But honestly, like I think in a personal perspective, if I had the confidence, I honestly would love to have a family sometime soon. And I just don't feel like I'm there yet with it, but like emotionally I do, I guess. But I still feel like I'm in the works of like getting to that point and having that confidence to be like, okay, let's make the decision,
Yeah. Because it's a
like
big
that's
decision.
such like a huge thing to me. But if I had the confidence, I'd be like, okay, let's start.
Yeah.
But I guess like in what I do with content and in my career, I guess it would just be to like push myself more, to give more of my effort into it. I feel like even right now I'm in a state of like really being in my head with everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like I would just try and encourage myself more to go further out and reach, shoot for the stars. and not doubt myself and get in my head and just be like, I am worth it and I can do it. So I feel like just like learning to practice that more. That's what I would do with my confidence.
You are worth it and you can do it.
That was so can you.
Thanks. I think that's something that I go through so much too, where I'm just so in my head, especially when it's something I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how to do it. I don't know where the right place is to start. I also don't want to waste my time, but
Yeah.
it's never a waste of time. And you can start anywhere because you get to
Truly.
choose whether you go forward or have to go back because you missed a step. Like,
Yeah.
it's possible, you're capable, and you could do it. And the crazy ones are usually the craziest ones to believe that we can make it happen are the ones that make it happen.
Truly. I know that's so true, and I feel like it's just always having to remind myself of that.
Yes.
So, yeah, I would say that's definitely what I would do if I had the confidence. I would push myself out more, but I should just do it. And then I'll get the confidence.
Exactly. You should just do it, and then the confidence will just flow right into you.
Totally. And honestly, like, that's how I felt like any of my confidence has ever come to me, is just by, like, doing it and not waiting for the confidence to come first.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I just need to rip the Band-Aid off.
Yep, exactly. Is there anything that you would tell someone listening to this podcast episode that is struggling to love themselves or struggling to find love for themselves in this chapter in their life right now?
I would say be patient and kind. I think when you are so eager to achieve something, whether it's loving yourself or, you know, getting to a place in your career, I think you have to put in the work and be patient with that journey. I think it's not a straight line, and it might never be a straight line. I find like even myself today, like I'm not perfect about it. I have days where I'm not feeling too hot. I have days where I sometimes compare. I'm not as bad as I used to be, and that I can appreciate. I'm like in such a better place, but it took a lot of patience and it took a lot of learning curves and understanding and just being kind to myself and being gentle to myself. And I think those are qualities I wish I had when I was younger, but I feel like it's all a journey for a reason, and I feel like life has so many lessons, and we can be angry at those lessons sometimes, and we can be frustrated with those sometimes, but you have to look at it with, I guess, a little bit of understanding and grace of like, I had to go through this to get to where I am today, and because of that, I feel so confident and I love myself, and truly that's how I feel now. But yeah, just being patient and kind and looking at things with, you know, a bit more of a positive perspective, even when things feel really rough. And also communicating to people how you feel and surrounding yourself with the right people online and also in your life, you know. So I think those are huge. And finding the right outlet. Everyone needs an outlet.
Oh yeah.
Whether you're reading, you're journaling, you're exercising, you're dancing, you're doing art, finding that outlet to not always have your mind consumed of like loving your body. I feel like, because it can get a lot. So yeah, having an outlet too, I would think is a big thing. But it's all not a straight line. So
yeah,
have the patience, but you'll get there. Everybody does.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you so much, Jade, for being here. I appreciate you to the moon and back. Please tell everybody where they can find you, where they can follow you, so that they can continue to follow your self-love journey.
Of course. You can find me on TikTok at Jade Lagassé, and you can find me on Instagram at Jade_Lagassé.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much again. I appreciate you to the moon and back. And
Thank you for having me. This was so much fun and so refreshing. You're just such a beautiful spirit. So thank you for having me. This was
thank
so nice.
you.
Kind of like a bit of therapy too.
I love it.
I was like, I feel healed for the week.
I love it. Thank you so much. I appreciate you to the moon and back. Really. I don't know how many times I can say that.
Oh, I adore you and all the best with your event. I can't wait to see all about it.
Thank you. It's going to be so fun. Well, thank you, Jade, so much. And thank you guys for tuning in. And we will see you. Well, maybe we'll have Jade back on again and follow up with you and see how everything's going. But we'll be back, not this Sunday, next Sunday. Episodes go up bi-weekly, every single Sunday at 12 o'clock Eastern time. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.
Yay.